Hello, Lockie, and welcome to this week's podcast.
Hello, Donna.
So I am very excited to have you on here, and it's a little bit different than the other guests that I've had on my podcast. And, you know, we've met before, so you sort of know my backstory, and I just think that your stories and your organisation that you and your mates have created is just incredible. And I think if I've got a platform to make people aware, like I was saying to you earlier, then, you know, a young mum, like I said, might be having a sister that's going to be going through what we're going to talk about, or a cousin or a friend. And I think that the more that we have the knowledge and we're not frightened when our families or friends go through these situations, that there's places that they can reach out, which your page 20 Talk's amazing. So I'd love for you to, I wouldn't want to say an elevator pitch because, you know, that's just a bit too corny, but can you explain to the listeners how you came about creating 20 Talk from the beginning, and yeah, what you're doing sort of currently now in regards to that space?
Yeah, sure. So 20 Talk, it's a wellbeing education platform kind of built by young people for young people. And the catalyst for creating this came in 2017, where a good mate and I, we lost two really good friends to suicide in the space of about 2 months. After we lost our first friend, it was obviously pretty traumatic and we didn't really know how to handle it, but we thought it was just a kind of one-off occurrence. And then after losing the second friend in 2 months, we started to really think about, okay, there's something not right at the moment. There's something not happening in society. And if we've lost two friends in 2 months, then it's a problem that really we thought we might need to try and have a look at. So as some 18, 19, 20-year-olds, we sat down and we kind of just asked ourselves, honestly, what are we lacking? What do we want more information on? And we found that, yes, at school you learn about human bio and trigonometry and all these things, but you didn't learn about how important relationships were, or how to find purpose in life or direction. So we created a little 5-week program that we went through with our friends, just looking at those subjects, and they found it really, really interesting. And we started to realize that there was a lot of people out there, a lot of young people out there who really yearned for mental health and wellbeing education, but what was out there just wasn't really connecting with them at the time. So yeah, we decided to try and create a platform that would engage young people and would be relatable. And 5 years later, 5 years down the track, we're a registered charity. We focus a lot on kind of 18 to 30-year-olds is our main target audience. So whether we do that through universities or just in the public, we have a pretty big footstep online in terms of Instagram and TikTok. But yeah, we're just trying to reinvigorate the way mental health and wellbeing education is delivered to young people, so they can actually utilize it a bit more, intuitively.
Perfect example and explanation of what you do, because again, it's such a big what's the space? It's a really big space, isn't it, in regards to different ages, different people. But I think when I met with you, I think the biggest thing that came across is it is such a pivotal age, between 17 and 30 particularly, but, you know, those coming out of high school, like you said, and sense of purpose, what is that? Also, you know, all of our families and our children, and particularly now, are highly and strongly influenced by social media. So that can be YouTube, you know, like I have a slight addiction to TikTok at the moment, which is really bad. But the reason I want to bring that up is because, you know, if people have followed me and listened to all my previous podcasts, they know that we have had a really big struggle in the last 3 years with the girls with really extreme mental health. Today, I'm my beautiful Eloise, who's 18, and she's just finished year 12 and doing incredibly and very happy. She was at the worst end and suicidal. So she's allowed me to voice that, because what she said to me is, if I can help other people, then I want to talk about it. And I'm so proud of her for that, because it's a very deep, dark place to start and talk about. So me getting in contact with you from a beautiful friend, Angela Johns, who is very big. She loves charity work here in Perth. Very lucky to put us together here. I think sharing our stories of her deep, you know, sort of darkness of being suicidal, and as a parent, what that looked like, because it doesn't look like what you think it's going to be. So as a parent, you think, okay, they're a bit off, they're a bit down, struggling to go to school a little bit, but when she was at that suicidal part, I wouldn't have thought she was. So that's probably not wanting to scare people. This is just about knowledge is power, like I said. But what we're dealing with as parents, and again, as teenagers and young people, are highly influenced for what they see. So when we talk about TikTok, like I was talking about, you slow down for 1 second on eczema and you get 20 eczema posts, right? So you're talking about things that you might be feeling down, and you're stuck on your phone and you start looking at things that are a bit depressing or whatever. You're going to get the algorithm of all of that. So if we're feeling depressed and then the kids are staying in their bedrooms and only being influenced by that, that's pretty full on, isn't it? So having your amazing platform, which is people sharing their stories and also where they can go and what they can do for their mental wellness, is just incredible in this day and age. So you should be very proud. So also, you should be. And the other really beautiful thing is that what was created at beginnings of such trauma, your mates are all part of this organisation, aren't they? That's what's
yeah.
So you've created charity. And
so I think firstly, I don't think you're the only person with a slight addiction to TikTok at the moment. I think that things like TikTok and Instagram, they're here to stay. And yes, they've been given a pretty bad rap in the past, but where we kind of thought, when we got a little bit of criticism at the start, saying that, look, you guys say that you're so aware of how detrimental social media is, yet you are basing yourself on social media. And we kind of thought, we almost took the mentality, if you can't beat them, join them. And instead of having all this negative material online, we thought we would try and put some positive material up there. And I think that this kind of self-help kind of wave of momentum is really starting to take hold at the moment. And we just wanted to be starting to put up some things online where young people could go to and become interested in mental health, not because they've suffered, but more so because they want to excel in mental health. So we're trying to create content for young people that they want to engage with, and then we want it to act as a bit of a catalyst for them to investigate a little bit more and learn a little bit more and become really emotionally aware of their situation.
Yeah, and you're right. So there's a negative and the positive. And for me, it's exactly the same. So for me, in my little influencing hub, I want to get out all that positivity too. So this podcast will be, it's as much as there's negative, there's just as much positive, and you're right. There's such a big wave of mental wellness and stuff. But, before I met you, I didn't even know you existed, and you're doing this incredible stuff for the world. So, it is trying to get it out, isn't it? Through all these different platforms. And also, like I have said to you, I feel like for me, where I'm at with lived experience, and then sort of coming up the other side, is share the stories like you have with your mates, and just, being able to, if you can save one person out of that sort of hole, that's amazing. You're saving more than one at a time, but, it's an incredible, like I said, charity organisation that you've created. And, like I was saying, it's not just about teenagers, is that it's like it is much more common than we think. And a lot of people tend to suffer by themselves. So if you can be influencing positively and they can see that on their own, then that's going to be fantastic. Because I did see on your page a month or so ago, you started creating little, I don't know if they're adverts or...
the kind of really high quality 15-second clips.
But run through them, because they were really good. And I thought, gosh, if someone hits on that might them think about their sort of social media usage. So can you explain what that was all about?
Yeah, so most of that's, to give you a brief kind of rundown of the structure of Tweet Talk. I manage the training aspect, and Leighton, the co-founder, alongside our social media coordinator, manages the media aspect. But from my knowledge, what kind of happened there was we had some really good creators in our old office, some really good videographers and people that really understood how to kind of convey meaning through videos and through adverts. So they actually offered up a lot of their time for free to us to say, look, how can we bring our skills to what you're doing and kind of create something that is really impactful in a short amount of time.
And
so
targeted,
I think
to that age bracket too.
Yeah. So there was 3 different ones. Firstly, there was just it was a video of a young girl just on her phone scrolling through and kind of this really doom and gloom music. And then the alert came up on her phone just to take a break. and she takes a break and just puts her phone in her pocket, and everything kind of lightens up. And that one's really just to try and stop people from that kind of doom scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
And we've actually had a lot of really good testimonials come out from that. One of them being that a girl was actually having a panic attack, going doom scrolling, and she actually got to that and did the exact same thing and had this really authentic moment. So,
Amazing.
just like you said, if you can just save one person, it's worth it. You know, having that testimonial just makes it kind of worth it for us, even if they go offline now. It doesn't matter because we have been able to help someone in that moment.
Absolutely.
And then, one of the other ones was just a man crying by himself in a kitchen. And then at the end of the clip, someone just comes in from behind, just gives him a hug, and just tells him that he's here for them. And I think that's really powerful as well. Just being there for someone rather than, coming in and trying fixing the problem. I think that just being there for people is a really important first step.
Yeah. And that's probably been my biggest issue as a parent, because again, it's a different journey when I'm, I can always look after my mental health, but when it's your children, it's so hard because I wanted to fix it and can't always fix it. You've really just got to have that support for the parent to know how to support the child. But also what is a bit tricky is as a parent, we don't always understand generationally what's going on for them, so it's again, you're young, you're targeting these ages that they understand that you understand,
Yeah,
fantastic.
Definitely. I think that just to jump in quickly, I think that 50 years ago, the difference between what someone went through when they were young and what their kids have gone through wasn't that different. But as we kind of progress, I look back at my partner's sister at the moment, and she's only 8 years younger than me, but she's worlds different. She's into way different things than I am, and that kind of connection piece has changed so much. So for young parents at the moment, or just for parents in general, it's so hard to connect and understand what their children are going through because it is just a completely different kettle of fish.
Oh, man. And so like I have started to mention my new passion, which has been for about 3 years, but now I'm going to be certified in it, is conscious connected parenting. So that's what we're talking about. Instead of like old school parenting or what we knew, and literally within 5 years, it's such a big difference from Eloise to our eldest Izzy, it's not just about parenting and fixing and parenting. It's actually guiding, supporting, and being connected rather than connection rather than correction. Because what we do as parents, we get so fear-based of they've got to do well at school, they've got to do this, they've got to be well behaved, they've got to, and we get so stuck in the conditioning of the world that we forget that the world they live in now is completely different. So it's way more important to try and stay connected, support, guide, have boundaries, but don't always have to fix or correct,
Yeah.
It's big.
Definitely.
So then you are very much part of the education and support with that. So tell me, what if people hear this and like this, that sounds amazing. I mean, obviously they need to follow you and follow 20 Talk because there's some fantastic stories, like real life stories on there. But what do you do for support with mental wellness for people if they need to reach out?
Yeah, so a lot of what we do in the training space is mental health first aid for the time being. So mental health first aid is a 2-day course that looks into depression, anxiety, psychosis, and substance abuse. And out of those 4, we kind of look into the symptoms, the interventions, how to kind of navigate a conversation, say around suicide. And I think they're really important tools. Over the last year, we've been developing our own course, which will look more at the kind of preventative measures rather than crisis management. So this will go into all the different inputs into someone's well-being. So it might be exercise, their emotional state, their financial awareness, relationships, spiritual. We look at 11 different dimensions and really kind of dive into how they affect the individual. And this can be different for anyone. So we're going to create a 1-day course, which will be ready for kind of rollout in January of next year. But it's really just giving people the tools to kind of analyze their own situation and think, okay, I'm going really good in these 3 areas, but this is something that I might need to put a little bit more energy into. And then we'll have the kind of follow-up information of this is how you can put extra energy into that. So yeah, we're really excited to get that out as of January next year. But for the last kind of year and a half, 2 years, it has just been mental health first aid training for public, for corporates. And now we're really aligning ourselves more with universities.
Yeah. Would you get into high schools, or is that
so? High schools is a tricky one that we've always been thinking of it, but we've never really gone there just yet, just because our target audience was always going to be 18 to 30, because in schools, people do have the supports around them and the structure, but when they come out, sometimes not. But in saying that, I am doing a speech at a high school next month. So it is something that we're kind of looking at. How can we kind of bring them in? Because I think year 12 students, most of them are turning 18 in year 12 now anyway. So
that's right.
Yeah, so I think inevitably we're going to have to start looking at that kind of year 12 year group and see how we can make something that works for them as well.
Absolutely. And like what you mentioned before, preventative. So like you're already heavily, you've got all these fantastic tools, but year 12 would be amazing preventative, as in having that real raw discussion before they go out to the world.
Yeah. And that's why this school reached out to us. One of the phys ed teachers were kind of just saying, look, I'm handling the mental health for the year 10 students and the year 11 and 12 students this year. And just off looking at the content, it's not relatable, it's not engageable. So that's why they kind of reached out to us to say, can we try and find something that makes them sit up in their chairs a little bit more and actually become interested in it, rather than just flicking their pens and messing around for the whole class.
That's right, and bored, because it's real life, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today, and being connected with you is fantastic, to share our stories and support, and know that there's lots of support out there. That it's not just the biggest thing, I think, that as a parent, if you're going through it, or a friend or family member, it can be quite lonely in regards to that support person, because you think, where do I go? People might not understand. I think, like I said, definitely people need to follow you and see everything that you're doing, and watch this space with you guys. Really,
definitely. I appreciate coming on and having the chance to speak to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.
All right, ciao.
Bye.